Now next portion, that is the membranous labyrinth. Okay. So what is membranous labyrinth? It lies within the bony labyrinth. You can see. See, this is the inner portion that is known as a membranous labyrinth. Okay. In blue color. Okay, that is the membranous labyrinth. Okay, so it is the inner portion of the, or it is located within the bony labyrinth. Okay, outer portion, that is the bony labyrinth, and within the bony labyrinth there is inner portion that is known as a membranous labyrinth. It consists of the cochlear duct, semicircular duct, utricle and the saccule. Okay, what is the membranous labyrinth? You can see this is a semicircular duct. Okay, see, this is the semicircular duct 1, 2 and 3. Okay, semicircular duct, then utricle and the saccule and cochlear duct. See, this is the cochlea, and see the blue color, that is the cochlear duct. Okay, so this is the portion of the membranous labyrinth. The membranous labyrinth is filled with a fluid that is called as the endolymph. Okay, in bony labyrinth there is a fluid that is called as a perilymph, but in membranous labyrinth there is a fluid that is known as a endolymph. The cochlear duct, it is situated within the cochlea. Okay, so cochlear duct, that is located or situated into the cochlea, and it is the organ of the hearing. Okay, so main function of the cochlea, this is the hearing. The semicircular duct, saccule, utricle, these organ, okay, so means semicircular duct and the vestibule. That is the portion of the organ, that is the portion that is helpful for the balance, also known as the vestibular apparatus. Okay, it is also known as a vestibular apparatus. Okay, utricle and the saccule. So these two portions are helpful for the maintenance of the balance of the body as well as the coordination. So this is the membranous labyrinth. Okay, so now we have seen the anatomy of the middle ear, inner ear as well as the external ear. Now let us see about the physiology, in that the hearing. What is hearing? How hearing occur? So every sounds produce sound waves. Okay, sound waves. Okay, like this way. See, this is the sound waves. Like this way. Okay, so every sound produce a sound waves or vibration. Okay, because of the sound waves there will be a vibration into the air, which travel at about 332 meters per second. Okay, 332 meter per second. This is the ratio. So every sound produce a sound waves as well as the vibration into the air, and it is traveled at this speed level 332 meter per second. The auricle, the first portion of the outer ear, that is the auricle. Now sound waves are generated, they will go into the auricle. Why? Because of its shape, and the shape of the auricle, it is very helpful, and because of this shape, because of this ridge, it collects and concentrate the waves and direct them along the auditory canal, causing the tympanic membrane to vibrate. You can see the sound waves are generated by outer environment. Okay, they will go into the auricle. You can see this is the auricle. Because of this ridge as well as the shape of the auricle, that will helpful for the collection and concentration of the air or sounds into the inside, they will goes inside to the auditory canal, and there they vibrate the tympanic membrane. Okay, they vibrate the tympanic membrane. Now, tympanic membrane vibration are transmitted and amplified. So, this is the outer ear. So, that is the outer ear process. Now, in what process are developed into the middle ear? Okay, into middle ear, the sound waves comes to the tympanic membrane. They vibrate to the tympanic membrane and transmitted and amplified through the middle ear by the movement of the ossicles. With the help of 3 ossicles, the sound waves are transmitted into the inner ear. Okay, so which are the 3 ossicles? That is the malleus, incus and the stapes. At their medial end, the foot plate of the stapes that rocks and flow into the oval window. Now it gives a force and it gives a rocks to the oval window and settling up fluids waves into the perilymph and the scala vestibuli. Okay, so this is the portion of the inner ear. Okay, so they transmit the impulse to the scala vestibuli. You can see this is the scala vestibuli, then it will goes to the scala tympani, and then it will goes to the organ of Corti. The sensory nerve impulse are generated. Okay. Now, some of the force of these waves is transmitted along the length of the scala vestibuli and the scala tympani. Okay, now these sound waves are goes towards the scala vestibuli and some waves will goes towards the scala tympani. But most of the pressure is transmitted into the cochlear duct. This causes a corresponding wave motion into the endolymph. Because of the force into the cochlea, there will be a motion of the endolymph. Okay, the fluid of the membranous sac. Okay, so in the endolymph there will be a motion that result into the vibration of the basilar membrane. See, this is the, here there is a, you can see in the green color. Okay, here as well as here there is a basilar membrane. So in the basilar membrane the vibration occur and stimulation of the auditory response in the hair cells of the spiral organ. So hair cells contain a receptor and the nerve impulse will goes via the help of the hair cells into the spiral organ. Now the nerve impulses are generated now, okay, because of the cells, hair cells, and they are receiving the impulse. The nerve impulse are generated and passed to the brain in the cochlear portion of the vestibulocochlear nerve. With the help of the vestibulocochlear nerve, okay, you can see this is the yellow color, that is a vestibulocochlear nerve with the help of the vestibular and the cochlear nerve. Okay, the vibration are generated with the help of the cochlea. Nerves are developed and generated in the vestibular nerves, and with the help of the cochlear nerves these nerve impulses are goes into the brain. The fluid wave is finally expanded into the middle ear by vibration of the membrane of the round window. Okay, so what occur? The fluid wave here in the round window. Okay, see, this is the round window. So here there is a vibration. Okay, vibration of the membrane of the round window, and they send the impulses. Now vestibulocochlear nerve transmit the impulses to the auditory nuclei into the medulla. Okay, into the medulla oblongata. They transmit the impulses with the help of the vestibulocochlear. So from the inner ear, with the help of vestibulocochlear nerve, they send the impulse to the brain. So they send to the medulla oblongata, where these synapses, before they are conducted to the auditory area, into the temporal lobe of the cerebrum. Then this impulse will pass into the temporal lobe of the cerebrum. You can see this is the temporal lobe. Okay, see this is the temporal lobe, and in the temporal lobe, see this is the auditory area, auditory cortex. So with the help of the vestibulocochlear nerve, the nerve impulses will send to the cerebrum. Okay. The left and right auditory area of the cerebrum receives the impulse from the both ear. Okay. So at both sides there is a in both ear, at both sides. Okay. In each side there is a vestibulocochlear nerve. They send the impulses, nerve impulses to the brain. Okay, to the temporal lobe, okay, to the auditory cortex area of the cerebrum. So this is the process of the hearing, okay, and brain can adapt. So the sound waves have the properties of the pitch, volume and the intensity. Okay, as we know, sound has a three property. First one is a pitch, volume and the intensity. Pitch, it is determined by the frequency of the sound wave, and it is measured in the hertz. Okay, so pitch, it is the frequency of sound and that is measured by the hertz. Sounds of the different frequencies stimulate the basilar membrane at different places along its length and allowing the discrimination of the pitch. The volume, second, that is a volume. Okay, first one is that is a pitch. What is volume? That is depend on the magnitude of the sound waves. Okay, that will be in larger, louder sound. Okay, that will be a very low sound, low volume sound. Okay, or high volume sound. So that is depends on the magnitude of the sound waves, that is measured in the decibel. The greater the amplitude of wave, the amplitude of wave is greater. Okay, the endolymph, the greater is stimulation of the auditory receptor. The auditory receptor will be, that will increase the impulse. Okay, the auditory receptor will active by increased way. Okay, so the hair cells in the spiral organ that enable the perception of the volumes. So the endolymph that will be helpful for the stimulation of the auditory receptor when the voice or sound is increased in or in high tone. Then the long term exposure to very loud noise that causes the hearing loss because it damages the sensitive hair cells of the spiral organ. So that's why very loud noise, it is hazardous for hearing. Okay, why? Because they kill or damage the hair cell. Okay, the sensory receptors of the spiral organ, they damage these hair cells. That's why the deafness will be occur or low hearing can be occur. So now we have seen the hearing. Now we will see second most function of the ear, that is the balance. So let us see which is the most important organ of the inner ear that is helpful for the balance, maintaining balance. That is the semicircular canals and the vestibule. Okay, semicircular canal and the vestibule, it is the essential organ for the maintenance of the balance, while cochlea, it is essential for the hearing. Okay, so three parts of the inner ear, each has a different function. Now the semicircular canal have no auditory function. It has only a function of the maintaining balance, although they are closely associated with the cochlea. Instead, they provide the information about the position of head in space, contributing to maintenance of the posture and the balance. Okay, with the help of the head position, okay, down position, up position of the head, that will be meant, it gives information, and with the help of this information the maintenance of the balance and the posture are maintained. See, in blue color that is a semicircular canals, and see this is the vestibule in green color. Okay, so these are the both organ. It is very helpful for the balance. And see, this is the cochlea. It is helpful for the hearing. Okay, so two major function. Now let us see about the physiology of the balance. How we are maintaining balance. Okay, or how person is doing the coordination. The semicircular canal and the vestibule. In the vestibule there is two portions, that is a utricle and the saccule, that is concerned with the balance. Okay, so these portions are concerned with the balance. Any changes of the position of the head that cause the movement in the perilymph and the endolymph. What is perilymph? Perilymph, that is the fluid, okay, that is located into the bony part, as well as the endolymph, that is the fluid that is accumulated or located into the membranous part. So these, when our head is moving, the endolymph and perilymph are moving, which bend the hair cells and stimulate the sensory receptors into the utricle, saccule and the ampulla of the semicircular canal. Okay, so these are the three major organ or that is associated with the balance. Now, with the help, if the fluid are moving, they create the impulse. Why? Because hair cells are becoming active because of the fluid are moving into the semicircular canal of the ampulla, utricle and the saccule. So the nerve impulses are transmitted by the vestibular nerves, which join the cochlear nerve to the vestibulocochlear nerve. So they send the impulses to the vestibulocochlear nerve. The cerebrum also receive the nerve impulses with the help of the vestibulocochlear nerve, and the other nerve impulses are generated from the eyes when we are seeing like this way, okay, and proprioceptor, like a sensory receptor that is located into the skeletal muscles and the joints. Okay, with these all our sensory organs are coordinated, and with the help of this coordination the nerve impulses are received into the brain. So the impulses from these three sources, okay, from ear, from eye and from proprioceptors, like in that means skeletal muscles and the joints. So these three sources are coordinated, and afferent nerve impulses are passes to the cerebrum and to the skeletal muscles, and by this way we are maintaining our body. So this result awareness of the body position, maintenance of the upright posture and fixing of the eyes. Okay, we are maintaining eye contact, doing the coordination at the same point, and independently there is the head movement. Okay, so this is the process of the maintaining balance. Okay, with the help of the fluid, that is perilymph and endolymph, that is moving inside the semicircular as well as the vestibule area, and they generate the impulses to the brain with the help of the ear, and proprioceptors are there. So with the help of three sense organs are coordinated, and they send the impulses to the brain, and our brain will do alert and to the skeletal muscles, and we are maintaining our upright position, posture, gait as well as the eye to eye contact and coordination. So this is the process of the balance. So now we have completed the anatomy and physiology of the ear. Now we will see some applied anatomy in the clinicals. So let us see the disorders of the ear. In that, first disorder disorders of the external ear, in that first one is the perforated eardrum. So what is perforated eardrum? Tympanic membrane perforation. It is also known as a tympanic membrane perforation. Okay, TMP. Okay, tympanic membrane perforation or perforated eardrum. In that, a hole in the thin membrane that separate the ear canal from the middle ear. You can see where it is located, tympanic membrane that separate two portion, external ear and the middle ear. In between there is a membrane, that is a tympanic membrane. So there will be a hole into thin membrane. They separate the ear canal from the middle ear. You can see in this figure, see this is the ruptured eardrum, or we can see it is a tympanic membrane perforation. And see, this is a normal eardrum, there is no any perforation. You can see there is a hole into the tympanic membrane. So in hole into the tympanic membrane, that is termed as a perforated eardrum or tympanic membrane perforation. Perforation means what? Some hole. Okay. Which are the causes of the perforated eardrum? Middle ear infection. If there is an infection into the middle ear, that can cause the hole into the tympanic membrane. Foreign body, usually pointed object. If we are inserting pointed object into the eye, so that can also damage to the tympanic membrane, and that can also lead to a hole or tympanic perforation. Then trauma or injury, because of the any injury or any trauma, that it is also a cause of the perforation. Which are the clinical manifestation? Which are the sign and symptom of the perforated eardrum? Otalgia. What is otalgia? That is the pain in ear. Pain in ear, that is termed as a otalgia. Okay. Second, that is a bleeding. Sometimes bleeding can occur. Fullness into the ear. Hearing loss because of the perforation, and tinnitus. What is tinnitus? That is the ringing sound in ear. Okay. What is tinnitus? That is termed as a ringing sound into the ear. So these are the manifestation of the perforated ear. So what is perforated ear? That is the hole into the tympanic membrane. Now, in the disorder of the external ear, second disorder, that is the otitis externa. Okay. What is otitis externa? It refers to the inflammation of the external auditory canal. Okay. There is infection or inflammation of external auditory canal, that is known as otitis externa. Which are the causes? The infection by the Staphylococcus aureus, that causes the boils into the auditory canal. You can see this is the, here you can see this is the boils. Okay, boils into the auditory canals. Then swimmer's ear, because of the water into the ear canal, that can cause the infection or inflammation of the auditory canal. Then prolonged exposure to moisture or by allergic reaction of the dandruff, soap, hairspray and the hair dyes. Because of these chemical used product it is also cause the infection or inflammation. Now, which are the symptoms or sign and symptom, or we can say clinical manifestation? So, pain and discharge from auditory canal. Okay, some pain or sometime purulent discharge from the auditory canal. Because of infection or inflammation in auditory canal, there is fever. Then pruritus, or we can say hearing loss and feeling of the fullness into the ear. So this is the sign and symptom of the external ear, that is the otitis externa. Then third one, that is the disorder of the external ear. In that third one, that is the impacted cerumen. Okay. So it is condition in which ear wax accumulate into the ear canal, that leading to the blockage and pressure over the ear canal. So there will be collection or accumulation of the cerumen or wax into the external canal, that is known as impacted cerumen. You can see in this figure there is the impacted cerumen. Okay, which are the causes of the impacted cerumen? Use of the hearing aids or earplugs. Okay, if you are using frequently earplugs in your ear, so what occur? There is accumulation of the wax. Then putting object into the ear. If you are putting object or sharp object into the ear, then anatomical or something liquid or something chemical that can be poured into the ear, that can also lead to the blockage of the ear. Anatomical defect, if there any anatomical defect or shape or size of the auditory canal, that can cause the accumulation of the wax. Then older age, because of the old age there can be accumulation of the ear wax. Now we will see sign and symptom of the impacted cerumen. Which are these clinical manifestation? Tinnitus. What is tinnitus? It is a ringing sound into the ear. Itching because of the sticky material that is stuck into the auditory canal. Difficulty in hearing because there is a blockage of the wax, so sound will go in lower volume. Ear discharge, bad odor coming from the ear because of the accumulation of the wax. How will you manage? So first we have to do the irrigation from the ear to the ear canal with the help of the irrigator, so wax can be removed from the ear. Then manual removal of the wax, it is also a good method or best method for removal of the wax. So what is impacted cerumen? It is the accumulation of the ear wax. Now another disorder of the external ear, that is the furunculosis. Okay, furunculosis. So it is infectious disorder which is characterized by the formation of the boils into the hair follicles of the ear. Okay, in ear you can see there is the boils or pimples that is formed inside of the ear, that is known as a furunculosis. Which are the causes for this? Poor hygiene, if person is maintaining poor hygiene of the ear, malnutrition, weak immune system, and presence of the abrasion and the cut, that can also lead to a furunculosis. Which are the clinical manifestation or sign and symptom? First one is a tenderness and the hearing loss. So this is the sign and symptom. So what is furunculosis? There is a formation of the boils into the hair follicles of the ear. Now let us see the disorder of the middle ear. Okay, that is the otitis media. What is otitis media? Infection or inflammation of the middle ear. Okay, infection or inflammation of the mucous membrane of the middle ear, eustachian tube, and the mastoid process. It is a very common condition, that is otitis media. Why it occurring? Which are the cause? The entry of the pathogenic bacteria into the middle ear. Okay, see this is the middle ear, so there is the infection or inflammation that can leads to otitis media. Infection of the upper respiratory tract, that can also cause a infection to the eustachian tube. Then perforation of the tympanic membrane, so the infectious agent will directly go into the middle ear. Then sign and symptom for the otitis media, that is the acute onset of the otalgia. What is otalgia? That is the pain into the ear. Then fever because of the infection or inflammation. Sleeplessness because of the otalgia. Irritability because of improper hearing and otalgia. Then pulling of the ear by the child. Okay, so this is the common symptom. Okay, if in children otitis media are there, so children will do pulling of ear because of the pain. So pulling of the child in ear. Now disorders of the inner ear, in that hearing loss. Okay, this is the common disorder of the ear. Okay, that is the hearing loss. What is hearing loss? It is also known as hearing impairment. It might be a partial or total inability to hear. Okay, partial deafness as well as the total deafness because of particular or specific condition. So it may occur in both or one ear. Okay, which are the causes of the hearing loss? It is also known as a deafness. So the causes of the deafness or hearing loss, that is the congenital hearing loss, it is known as a deafness. Okay, congenital. Okay, so congenital hearing loss, that is known as, it comes at the time of the birth. So by birth defect, that is known as the congenital. So congenital defect or congenital hearing loss, that is known as a deafness. So impacted earwax or foreign body, then acute serous and chronic otitis media, then presbycusis, that is known as a hearing loss that is caused by the aging. Because of aging, because of degenerative process, the hearing loss is occur, that is known as presbycusis. Then injury to the tympanic membrane. Then is there any infection like mumps, herpes zoster, meningitis and syphilis? This type of infectious disease can also cause a hearing loss. Which are the clinical manifestation? So tinnitus and increase in inability to hear. Okay, there is tinnitus. What is tinnitus? That is a ringing sound into the ear, as well as inability to hear. If students are students having a hearing loss or hearing impairment, they will be inattentive as well as uninterested into the studies or into the class, and speech deterioration because person is unable to hear. So there will be a deterioration of the speech or improper communication. So this is a hearing loss. What is hearing loss? That is the hearing impairment. Now, disorder of the inner ear, that is the Meniere's disease. What is Meniere's disease? In that there will be a swelling as well as the inflammation of the inner ear, that is known as the Meniere's disease. So it causes the vertigo, hearing problem and ringing sound into the ear. Okay, there is a three major symptom, that is a vertigo, that is hearing problem or hearing loss, and tinnitus, that is a ringing sound. Tinnitus, vertigo, hearing problem and tinnitus. So these are the three basic symptoms that will reflect the Meniere's disease. It usually affects only one ear. Which are the causes of the Meniere's disease? So excessive endolymph in the vestibular and the semicircular canals of the ear, viral infection, then allergies. If you are taking medication like the aspirin, and because of the stress, there will be changes into the endolymph. Okay, so that these are the causes of the Meniere's disease. Okay, so there will be swelling into the semicircular canal as well as the cochlea and the vestibule. So this is the end of the anatomy and physiology of the ear. Okay, so we have seen anatomy and physiology of the ear. In that, anatomy and physiology, that is the hearing and the balance. Okay, so this is the most important portion. So in next lecture we will see about the anatomy and physiology of the eye.